Bienvenidos a los Latin Podcast Awards. Yo soy Felix Montelara y this is supposed to be in English. So I am Felix Montelara for the Latin Podcast Awards. And I'm doing this version in English because I normally do all these in Spanish. And people say, well, I don't speak Spanish. Well, this is your opportunity. If you are a podcaster, if you've never heard of the Latin Podcast Awards, you should look it up. LatinPodcast.org. I'm going to put it on in the comments for you. And it's LatinPodcast.org. Let's make sure we get it right. Yes, we do HTTPS. We get the whole thing in there. And let me put that in the comments. So, what goes on with this is that this is a celebration for Latino podcasting in the world. And it's based out of the United States. We are a national event in the United States, and that we are an international event for the rest of the world. And when I say that, I mean it. We have had competitors from the Emirates, United Emirates. We've had podcasters from France, the UK, Austria, Australia, Germany, and Japan. So those are the international places where we've gotten some people, to include almost every single Spanish speaking country in the world. And as if you know, the US is the second largest Spanish country in the world. Believe it or not, we're only second to Mexico. We have more Spanish speakers, more bilingual people here than anywhere else except for Mexico. So, congrats to the Mexicans for having that many Spanish speakers. But guess what? We are growing in the United States. We are creating podcasts in English and Spanish. And that's what we're doing here in the Latin Podcast Awards. We are rewarding these people who are creating content in both languages from a Latino perspective. Why just a Latino perspective? Well, basically, if you try to have your podcast in Spanish compete in the podcast awards or in any other type of podcast awards in individual countries, such as the Australians or the people in the UK, they have their own podcast awards. You will not be able to compete unless you're from one of those countries. But with the podcast awards, the Spanish language is going to be very uphill for you to win. And most probably you may have an opportunity in the international. Um, if they even have an international, I don't even know if they have an international award. So with that said, we can't be denied. That is the bottom line. We are not invisible. We're here. We're in the United States. Okay. And we can't be rejected. So for those reasons, we have started 5 years ago. This is our 6 year. We have started the Latin Podcast Awards. We have recognized close to 100, not close, we have recognized 131 podcasters throughout the 5 years. Podcasters that, if we were to do the stories of the LPA, the stories of the Latin Podcast Awards, I can tell you we have plenty of, because of being part of the Latin Podcast Awards. I went on to do this, or I went on to do that. I went to bigger and better things. Not necessarily that they won, because we've had close to 300 or plus nominees throughout the 5 years. So, with that said, when you have that many nominees and people that are getting recognition, just by being a nominee, you're getting recognition. And we are in essence, we are a marketing machine for your podcast. Simple as that. That's what we do. Once you join, and let me explain this. You have to join, you don't have to. We ask that you join the International Academy Awards for Latino Podcast. That's what we ask. We have the Latin podcast within the Academy Awards. They're even though they're embedded, but they're two separate things. So once you join the Academy, then you have the right to get a registration for the Latin Podcast Awards. The Latin Podcast Awards for 2022 are open. Okay, they are open, they are available for you. Now, if you're a brand, if you're a network, or just a person that says, you know what, I don't really want to join a group, there's also a way to register on our page, the one that I just put out here, latinpodcast.org. You can register for the Latin Podcast Awards without being part of the Academy Awards. Now, do we want you to be part of the Academy Awards? Sure, of course. That's where we get together. That's where we share resources. That's where we put up webinars and we do things so you can make your podcast better, bigger, and better and brighter. Simple as that. We teach you how to grow your podcast. We do all this kind of stuff just for being part of the Latin Podcast Awards, the Academy Awards. Simple as that. All we want to do is recognize the content creator. Now, this content creator does not necessarily need to be Latino. I can give you a great example. There is a podcaster in Colombia. He lives in Colombia. His show is called, and I'm going to put it here, Colombia Calling. Okay. Colombia Calling. That's the name of the podcast. And this is a gentleman from the UK who lives in Colombia, who has a boutique hotel in Colombia. So if you ever want to visit Colombia and go to a place where they speak English, this would be a good opportunity. He's not paying us. Yeah, this is not an advertising for him. But he is a participant. He's become a nominee, and he has won a Latin Podcast Award in the past. So this is the type of thing that I'm saying. You don't have to be Latino to participate in the Latin Podcast Awards. As long as you have a good relationship with the Latino community, where maybe you have an episode that you did about immigration, or you have an episode where it's geared towards the Latino diaspora or agenda or whatever we have going on in the United States, that will qualify that episode for the Latin Podcast Awards. If you have a team member who is of Latino descent, that will qualify your podcast to compete in the Latin Podcast Awards. Now, when I say compete, what categories are we using? We are using categories such as the iTunes categories. So whatever iTunes category is listed for your podcast, that is the category that we would like to go by in the Latin Podcast Awards. Now, you can get a second or third category, but those are required independent registrations. Let that be clear. Those require independent registration because it's by main category. And when you compete by main category, you have to register separately. Now, we do give you the opportunity to win more than one Latin Podcast Award with one registration. How do we do this? I'll give you an example. The Rick H. Show. I'll put this one here too. The Rick H. Show, who has been a winner in the Latin Podcast Awards in the past, but the last year was very unique because they got the opportunity to compete in 6 different categories because of how their podcast is structured. So an example of this is they had the bilingual, they were in the bilingual category, they were in the English only category, no, they were in the bilingual or the English only. They were in the international, multinational. I mean, they had it going on, and they expressed all this to us, and we made sure that they do be part of all the different categories that we have to offer. So beyond the iTunes categories, we offer by countries. So if you're competing, let's say in Mexico, you're in Mexico and you're competing in the Latin Podcast Awards. If we have more than one, or not one, two or more in a country, we compete that as the Latin Podcast Awards for Mexico. Okay. Same thing with Spain, same thing with Japan, same thing with France. Now, if we only get one participant for a particular country, we will take those particular countries, we will group them up and make up the international award. That's how the international award gets in. So if don't worry if you're just in a country where you're producing a podcast, whether it's in English or Spanish, you will qualify and you will be in the international if we have different countries like that. Same thing with the iTunes categories. If we have two or more, we will compete it. If we don't have two or more, we cannot compete it because guess what? We are not giving away Latin Podcast Awards. You are earning them. You are winning. You're getting nominated. Not everybody, not 100% of everybody that puts in, that registers, gets nominated. A very high percentage, I would like to say a really good, like 99% does get nominated, but sometimes there's these that do not qualify for one reason or another, and they do not get nominated. But the truth be told is not everybody makes the nomination. So just be proud just by having the nomination, because I've had people tell me, well, Felix, what if I don't win? Well, this is like the Oscars or the Emmys. It means that you have a good product. That's what it means. It doesn't mean that you're a loser. No, by no means. Wait up, let me give you an applause. That is not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the fact that just because you're nominated, honestly, you're already a winner, because we're going to work hard to make sure that your podcast is known. We're going to do press releases. We're going to promote your show. We're going to promote the categories. Why? Because think about it. It's to everybody's benefit to do that. So that's what you get when you register for the Latin Podcast Awards. We have registration. We're open until June 16th is when we close registration. But do not wait until June to put in, because this is how we determine, for people who put up front, what categories are we going to have to compete. And if we don't know until June 16th, we just can't say, hey, so-and-so has been nominated for 6 Latin Podcast Awards until June. The earlier we have that information, the earlier we will start putting out that information. And for those who've participated before, that we start putting them out as soon as we have 2 or more. We start putting out, telling you what categories are you qualifying for. So don't wait until June. Do it as soon as you can and enjoy the ride. This is a nice event. This is for Latinos, by Latinos, and for our Latino friends. Think about it. It's something that you're not going to find in any other industry like this. We do have now the Latin Grammys, right? Do we have the Latin Oscars? I don't think so. I haven't heard of the Latin Oscars. So this is what I'm talking about. This is an event that is your event. It's for your benefit, and it's something that we all should be proud of. You should be proud of this, and you should tell other podcasters. If you know another podcaster that may qualify, please let them know. That's all we ask here in the Latin Podcast Awards. We did a survey, and only 25% of the podcasters out there know that the Latin Podcast Award exists. Why is that, you may say? Because we've done poor planning? I don't think so. We have been doing this for 5 years. This is our 6th year. We've been doing this word of mouth. That's it. That's how we've been operating. We are proud to say that we have stories that we can tell you about how people have benefited from being part of the Latin Podcast Awards. I can go on and on with stories, and we'll never we'll never end this stream here. But we do have stories, plenty of stories of people who just been even nominated, and they go on forward to do bigger and better things. That's what we're here for, to help you launch your career as a podcaster, as a award-winning podcaster. Yeah, it's pretty cool to say, "Hey, I'm on an award-winning podcast," and to have that little logo, okay, of the Latin Podcast Awards on your on your logo, saying, "Hey, I was nominated. Hey, I'm a winner." So as simple as that. So this is what I got to say when it comes to Latin Podcast Awards. We are open. Registrations are open. We have a discount code. Let me give you the discount code. But the discount code, I'm gonna put it here. Discount code is D as in David 22. There you go. There it is. Okay. So with that said, I am gonna say goodbye. I'm always available. I will give you my phone number. If you have any questions about the Latin Podcast Awards, how it operates, how we do it, you can you can literally call me and we can talk for a few minutes about that. But in a nutshell, it really isn't a popularity award. We do have one that we created because it was everybody asked for it, especially the fans. The fans asked for a popularity award. They wanted a vote. So we give them the opportunity. We put all the podcasters in a voting system, and their fans come visit and they give a vote. Last year we had close to 70, if I'm not mistaken, about 70 to 75,000 votes. The year before, when COVID was like really hard, we had over 168,000 votes. And you can win a Latin Podcast Award for popularity, but that's not how it works in general. In general, we know that we have independent podcasters that are creating great content. We know and understand that. Due to that fact, then we have a team of judges that are international judges, that are judges that been around podcasting forever. They're veteran podcasters that will judge every single podcast that's been nominated for the Latin Podcast Awards. And then what we do is we add, just to make it different. That way nobody can say it's fixed. It's like they already made up their mind. Felix is one of them. He already got mad at me. I'm one of the judges, and I don't have the final say because we add the membership of the Academy Awards to the mix for those who want to be part of the judging system. And as long as they don't have we really hard on that. We make sure that we do a conflict of interest statement with them. We give them training on how to do the voting system, how to work it before they even vote on the real thing. And we just keep it as clean and transparent as possible when it comes to all the judges. Okay. When all this is combined and the algorithm is added to it, we get our winners. So we don't know. Honestly, Felix will not know who won until after all this. And then what we do is we keep it a secret. We ask all the podcasters to submit either an audio acceptance speech for the categories that they're involved with, or right this year, we did it last year, last minute. This year, we're going to ask for even a video. So you can have your own video saying thank you, or just tooting your horn, saying, "Hey, I'm the best. I beat everybody. Peace out." Right? Let me give me some applauses there, right? So with that said, that's what the Latin Podcast Awards are all about in a nutshell. If you have any questions, feel free to call me. I'm going to give you an email if you want to write, and it's at administrator at Latin Podcast Awards.com. There you go. I'm going to put that there. That's the email. If you just prefer to email, just do it that way. We try to reply as soon as possible. We don't wait 48 hours, 24 hours. If we see it, we're available. We reply to your question. If we don't have to do a whole lot of research, if we have to do research, we'll do the research and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. And when I say that, I really mean it ASAP. Okay. That's what we have. That's how it operates. There's a registration for the Academy. You get in there. Once you're in there, you will have access to the registration to the Latin Podcast Awards, the competition. With that said, I think I'm pretty much done here in English. And I think I may even keep this one around for a little bit. But with that said, let's do something really cool. Let's say goodbye in the same old way that we say goodbye every year when we finish the podcast. So here we go. Bye, my friends. It's been nice. Take care. And remember, the Latin Podcast Awards are available for you. They're for you, they're by you, and they're, trust me, for Latinos. Do not be denied. Remember, the Latin Podcast Awards are here to stay, and this is our 6th year. So take care, enjoy the show.